We are broke in this state. We've been broke for years. People have ignored that for years, and it's about time somebody stood up and told the truth. We are introducing this morning, in about a half an hour officially, the budget repair bill for the remainder of fiscal year 2011. This is a significant change. This is obviously a very bold and aggressive change, but I believe the people of this state elected me and members of the legislature to be bold and aggressive in the actions we take to help the private sector put people to work.
Well, Susan, this is a very loud crowd down here at the Capitol. First speech just got underway a couple minutes ago, but earlier today, protesters were arriving by the busload, carrying signs calling to stop the attack on Wisconsin workers. The crowd has been chanting.
This legislation came upon us. It's like a tsunami. It just felt like a rug was taken out from underneath our feet. Personally, for me, I might be losing my home.
The protesters raging at the governor's plan to rein in a $3.6 billion budget deficit, demanding that public employees pay more for their pensions and health care, the equivalent of a 7% pay cut. For an average worker making $48,000 a year, that's a $3,300 hit.
Now, the unions say that they are more than willing to negotiate the financial part of this deal, but they are not willing to negotiate their collective bargaining rights away.
We're going to do what it takes to get this budget on track.
This man is jamming through with his cronies legislation that is going to completely ruin people's lives, and he doesn't even have the common courtesy to talk about it.
War has been declared by Scott Walker, and people are feeling it.
I grew up in a small town of about 50,000, Janesville, Wisconsin. My father was a Republican, and my mother was a Republican, and I used to sit and listen to my dad, pontificate about the world crises and what was going on and what was going to happen next. But he was very passionate, and I think that passion rubbed off on me. And to succeed and to do something with your life, to have some meaning to your life. When I first heard, I was in the state of shock. I went to work one day and I had my job and it was very secure, and then the next day it was like a call to arms.
The first time that I went, I didn't know a whole lot about it, and I just decided to go down to see kind of what was up. And they had a march of about 50 students walk up to the Capitol and give Valentine's to Scott Walker.
We are the students! We are the students! The mighty, mighty students!
We're marching in the streets today because they are attacking our university, they're attacking public service, and we're not going to stand for it, are we?
It was a little tongue-in-cheek.
We're here to show some love to the people that make our universities work here today.
As I learned more about the bill, then I became more and more interested in it and more concerned about it, because I'm a history major with a focus on labor history.
We got some bad news, everybody. Governor Walker doesn't want to meet with a few thousand students.
We're here to support our teachers but we're also here to support all the other public workers. This isn't just about our teachers. It's about our healthcare employees. It's about our sanitation workers. It's about our garbage collectors. It's about everybody.
So what's really amazing about this is that, my high school students were the ones that, organized this walkout all on their own. And they took the initiative to just do everything over the social media, texting other high schools, walked out on their own with their signs, their homemade signs, and walked to the next high school, picked up all those other students. And it was just an amazing sight to watch them come down State Street, hundreds and hundreds of high school students. Well, personally, I thought if they can do it, that we were right behind them. We were going to support them 100%.
There is a call here for organized labor to assemble here at the Capitol in force tomorrow as lawmakers begin to debate the governor's changes to state workers' benefits and their ability to negotiate for a better deal.
Yeah, we called it a sick out, and we decided that we weren't going to go back to school. I've never been involved in a protest before. I just felt good to be a part of it. I really did. Any misgivings I might have had prior to going, this is it. This is what I should be doing. I should be standing up for, I should be standing up for my rights.
Governor Scott Walker, in office only 6 weeks, told me he has no choice.
Why is this so necessary?
Well, for us, we're broke, just like nearly every state across the country.
Local labor union members gathered today to discuss the bill, many looking toward union leadership for answers.
Thousands show up tomorrow. We clog the Capitol. They're going to know that we have their backs, and they better have a backbone and stand up to Governor Walker and tell him no.
Madison's only about 200,000 people, and then you have another 50,000 with the students. I mean, compared to where I grew up in Cleveland, it's tiny. Madison is much more liberal than the majority of the state of Wisconsin. But that's why we live here, because it's a really great place to live. And people are very much into a sense of community.
Is on high security today. There are UW police, Capitol police everywhere. Some stairwells are shut down. They could be here into the night.
I know a lot of you say I got work, I got school. Well, if we don't take care of this, you're not going to have a school to go back to. You're not going to have a job to go back to. Union people, everybody, the students, all of us, let's be here. Let's spend the night at the Capitol.
Part of the occupation started then because of the Capitol. Because in order to keep the public hearings going, we had to have constant stream of testimony, and there were lots of people that wanted to testify.
The way that we're going to keep this building open is as long as there's official public business going on. We started this the minute the Republicans refused to take any more testimony at the Joint Finance Committee, and we have had over 100 hours of continuous testimony from people speaking their minds about this. People that come sign up at 8 o'clock at night with a 9-hour line.
It was incredibly moving just because people from every demographic you could possibly think of, like everyone from students to like factory workers to teachers.
I am a social worker. My clients who are developmentally disabled and traumatically brain injured have given 20% in cuts, taken 20% in cuts.
I was a Republican until this happened, and I was anti-union, and now I'm gonna cry. I'm sitting here in an AFSCME shirt, I can't believe it. I was anti-union. I was accreted into the unions 3 times, 3 different positions. And I was mad because I was accreted in. I was mad because I had to pay dues, because I didn't understand, okay? I truly didn't understand. I understand now.
Clearly, in what we announced in this budget repair bill, which the legislature will be holding public hearings on this week and potentially acting on by the end of the week, very much involved the opportunity for us to balance the budget and to make a fundamental choice. The choice being, do we make the decision to make changes that involve modest changes in what we ask of public employees when it comes to pension and health care contributions?
This is not a modest proposal. This is a radical proposal. This is something that puts and upends years and decades of labor relations.
But you're not just taking away, the conversation he originally had was employees paying in on pensions and health care. This is saying you have no voice in safety conditions, in your working conditions.
You know, every governor, Democrat and Republican, has sat down with respect across the table and honestly negotiated. He has not even asked to sit across the table.
But again, this is not a yes or no proposition. This is a yes, we make these reasonable, modest changes, or the alternative is layoffs.
Well, the governor shut everybody down, and it wasn't just the governor. He had the Republican Senate and Assembly people toe the line with him. So it was a complete shutdown of not talking to the other side of the aisle, certainly not talking to us, hearing that the unions were willing to make financial concessions. If it's about the money, why wouldn't you talk about that?
We had many students that were staying, and they were exciting and young and energetic. And we said, but this is not just their fight. This is a fight for all of us and for all of our workers and all of our nurses, in my case.
I am pretty sure I was one of the oldest ones there. I turned 62 this year. My adult children find this just amazing that I was staying in the Capitol.
Hi, my name is, well, it's Candace Owley, but I'm a nurse, and Molly is calling me Nurse Candy, so we can go with that. I've slept here every night, except for 2. So I've got to see you in the morning and in the evening, and without you, we would not have this rally. We would not be able to sustain it.
$15.34.
1534.
I'll be in squad 332. I'm a detective now and have been for about 7 years. So I had quite a bit of seniority on the department already, kind of doing a lot of different extracurricular stuff within my organization. One of the things I've done is I've joined our union board, our executive board. When Governor Walker was elected, we started hearing rumblings about some pretty kind of troubling issues for us.
Check area 66.
And on Monday we had this kind of emergency union board meeting, you know, kind of what's our response going to be and what are we going to do. It became clear to us that day and the next day that we were going to be exempt. The police and fire were going to be exempt. So we held this emergency meeting on Monday. It was kind of a collective working this through very quickly. The answer very clearly was absolutely, we have to say something about this. We cannot stand silent. We took a full-page ad out in the paper, our union, in support of workers' rights. And the first day we were down here, we were approached by some guys from the AFL-CIO who were down the street at the old Majestic Theater cooking bratwurst.
We felt it was important to be down here supporting our people. Brats for democracy, you bet.
They said, hey, the TAs have been in overnight now. They did a sit-in overnight. They haven't left. They've taken over a couple rooms, and they're starving. Can you guys shuttle some brats in for us? About 20 of us with Cops for Labor signs, and trays of brats and cases of water and stuff going in the rotunda. The place just exploded. I'm looking and people are crying. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, people are you know, saying thank you to us, and then the chant starts, thank you, thank you. And then the second chant was, we love cops, and that's the first time in 14 years I've ever heard any group chant that. We love cops.
I didn't think at 48 that I'd be walking around the Capitol protesting.
With a sign.
With a sign.
Yep.
I never thought I'd ever see that day. I think I should grow my hair out long, put it in a ponytail, but obviously that's not going to happen. I'm not a Democrat, but I'm certainly an independent. I'm no longer a Republican.
We'll turn you yet. Don't worry, Joel. it's early yet.
Joel Engler.
In Wisconsin, probably 5 decades, collective bargaining is the way that unions have secured rights for their members in the workplace. It's about wages and benefits, but it's also about a lot more. You know, for police officers, collective bargaining is a huge thing. It means that the individual police officer, just like the individual dock worker or sheet metal worker, doesn't have to go one-on-one to their employer and try to negotiate some sort of agreement with working conditions and safety issues and that kind of thing. For police officers, it allows us, for instance, to get bulletproof vests.
My union, the teachers union, we conceded well before the bill was introduced.
1 week before this bill, he gave away $63 million in tax credits to businesses.
There's been a lot of, let's say, lies.
Yeah.
And this is the bottom line. It's not about money and benefits. It's about the right to have collective bargaining rights.
Well, I was going up to the rally, and I was pounding my fist in the air for the first 2 days. And I would go home, and I'd watch the news, and, you know, they were calling us angry and mobs and rioters.
More evidence of left-wing vitriol. A Wisconsin senator is mobbed on his way to the Capitol. All of it is caught on
Despite rude protesters who only believe, apparently, in freedom of speech when it's them who are doing the speaking.
Dare I say violent.
You know, like everybody else, you come home from work, you watch the news, you believe what the news tells you, because, you know, they're not supposed to lie to you. I called up a brother, yeah, he's the IBEW brother, we call each other brothers, and came up with this idea of doing what the media wasn't, was showing what was really going on, and he had some equipment, and so that's where we started. I think we hit 100 people on the first day, you know, and we were all excited that 100 people had watched what was going on. That gave me the drive to keep going up there and doing it, because I think I hit like 24 days of like 2 or 3 hours of sleep straight.
Hi, I'm Marge from Watertown, Wisconsin. I am 72 years old, and I've lived in Wisconsin all my life and have never been more proud of Wisconsin than I am right now.
Hi, my name is Val Nichols, and I am a union-paid public school teacher. I teach 7th grade science in a small town north of Green Bay.
We want to send this message out as correct as possible. What the people are saying by the people. And that's what the whole fight is about.
This thing wouldn't work right here. My U-control. Eight electricians just made a cord work. To me, it was the only thing showing just the whole truth. It was unedited. Anybody could come up and say anything they wanted. I didn't deny anybody.
And from the talking heads out there that I used to follow, Limbaugh, O'Reilly, I'm disgusted by the rhetoric you're throwing out there. And
We are here to stay until he is gone. We're gonna kill this bill and we're gonna rock the fucking Capitol.
And I just want to tell the people of the world that
from the heart of the people of Wisconsin.
I love what I do and I love being a firefighter, but this is flat out taking away my rights. Scott Walker, I agree with budget cuts. I agree with we need to tighten down the belt. There's a lot of things across this country we need to tighten up. Bring some of our soldiers home once.
My God, these are not fringe people. These are not anarchists. I mean, these are my neighbors. These are my friends. These are the people who make our society function. These are students.
I came here to see if the heart of America was still beating today.
It was a sense of community. I mean, it was indescribable. Unless you were actually in there, the energy that was in that place, you just can't convey to people.
I've watched from afar all week as you have made crystal clear that this is about rights, basic human rights.
Guys, I might try just a little bit, but let me tell you that I've learned something this week.
That if you take your anger and you funnel it into action.
For the first 10 days, I never even felt anger out of people. I mean, there was moral outrage that this was happening to us, but people were also really, I think, felt really powerful and really positive because we were all here doing something pretty remarkable.
The entire Capitol Square is jam-packed.
In a stunning and unprecedented display, Senate Democrats didn't show up to the floor for a scheduled vote on the budget repair bill. Immediately, the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms went to look for the members in the Capitol to no avail.
Well, Senator, sounds like a good
ballot.
The Senate is now under a call of the House, and we will try to find the members who decided not to show up for work today.
The senators were gone, and the Capitol erupted. It was so electric. People were so excited.
Republicans called the action shocking and shameful.
What they did was perfectly legal and within the law, the parameters of the law.
They closed down the hearings, and so the only way politically within our democratic process for us to hold up the legislation so that the public could even know what was in the bill and the legislators was for our senators to leave the state.
Capitol lawmakers missing in action. Republican Governor Scott Walker is defending his budget bill.
One lawmaker looked out at the crowds gathered in the Wisconsin Capitol today and said it's like Cairo moved to Madison.
And what's happening there could play out in many other states.
A modicum of respect to know, hang on, to know where their leaders are, Graham. Shouldn't they know where their leaders are?
When it couldn't get any louder under the Capitol dome, the drama has spilled over across state lines.
It's not like we're trying to make history or it's some sort of high school prank here. We are very sincere in our efforts to try and slow things down so everybody has a chance to speak their mind on this.
This was a huge bill. It was 144 pages long, and there was unbelievable amounts of information and changes included in this bill that were not well publicized.
And the reason that we're here is because we needed to slow this bill down long enough so that individuals had an opportunity to know what was in it, and so that Wisconsinites had an opportunity to be able to be heard.
They have agreed to pay, you know, the health insurance that he's asked for, the pension that he's asked for.
On Thursday, those senators, they looked out of the Capitol and they had to make a choice. Are we going to stand with Scott Walker? Are we going to stand with Wisconsin? Don't you dump for a second, as great of heroes as they are, don't doubt for a second that they would not have been able to do what they have done. They could not have done it without each and every one of you.
We knew what Scott Walker would try to do. Maybe not as much as he tried to do, but we knew he was going to go after the unions. He was going to go after the pensions, because we had seen that behavior for years in Milwaukee County.
I cut the government workforce by 20%, and I introduced 8 budgets without raising the property tax levy from the previous year.
From the beginning, his focus was on how do we reduce down services.
They say you can't cut waste without sacrificing services. They're wrong.
We have high unemployment in our state, and there's a lot of anger in our state that not enough was being done to focus on getting more jobs. Never did he say that he was going to eliminate collective bargaining. Our members feel so betrayed.
We've seen so many people who have said, you know, Republican never again. Walker, I voted for you, but not for this. And people have talked about, you know, I didn't see this coming. But shame on us, shame on people who weren't paying attention.
You need to pay attention because your rights can be gone. And I've said this in the past with a stroke of a pen.
Oh, we're just a gaggle of grannies urging you off of your fannies, and we're telling you boys, we're sick of your toys. Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, oh, this land was made for you and me. This governor doesn't realize how stubborn Wisconsinites are. We fish through ice. Together with the money that they...
I've been waiting for people to wake up. Years ago, in the war movement, to be out there and see 2,000 people or 500 people or maybe at the max 4,000.
Tell me what democracy looks like!
To see 100,000, 150,000. Yeah, that's better.
I can't help but think back to last week when my students asked me, Johnson, why are you gone so much? And I had to tell them, it's because I'm the voice that advocates for you. Because here, there are far too few voices that advocate for you. That's why I'm here. That's why
As a nurse, I'm concerned. Walker says that most of us here are from out of state. To that I say, Governor Walker, don't you know I'm not faking this Wisconsin accent?
My feet were so cold. And we're all standing, everyone's standing like these little soldiers and just shivering.
And it's not at all cold, no. The spirit keeps you warm. Yeah. All right. You know, AFSCME was born in Wisconsin. The reason it was born here, the governor was kicking around the state employees.
Yeah, I'm so glad that this governor decided to try to wipe out unions, because finally we see what it means to people to really have unions. You know, I'm not sure whether we will fully understand why it happened in Wisconsin, but we do have a long history of collective bargaining here. We We were the first state to get unemployment compensation. We were the first state to get the collective bargaining rights for public employees.
This was in 1959. Now, there are few of any of us that were actually active back, that long. The idea that they could wipe that away overnight, it was emotional.
We're here because we believe in patient care, and we believe with the union, our nurses have the right to speak out without fear, without retaliation, because we've got a contract behind us, and we are not going to let them take those contracts away from us.
We're broke. We don't have any more money. We have a $3.6 billion budget deficit, and you really can't negotiate when you don't have money to negotiate on.
When I was thinking about how to describe to people what was happening here, the only metaphor that came to my mind was the governor was trying to fix a small leak in his roof by burning the entire house down. It just didn't make any sense. They were painting Wisconsin like it was in this horrendous budget crisis and was about to cave in on itself, and that's just not the case.
The Legislative Fiscal Bureau, which is a nonpartisan group, put out words saying this is not a crisis.
I'm here again to reiterate where the Senate Republicans are at. We're still waiting for the Democrats who are in Chicago. There is no ongoing negotiations with the Senate Democrats at this point. I want to be very clear about that. They need to come back and go to work. I mean, I don't know what they would need to accomplish that, but
It sounds like you want us to collect the bargaining piece to be negotiable at least, or maybe even put back in the bill.
the bill is negotiable. What would be negotiable is what's it going to take to get them back into the chamber.
Taking all this money away from the middle class workers, we're not going to be putting that money back into the economy. So I don't understand how that really solves a budget. I ask my students to be critical thinkers. You ask why. Why is this happening? What's the motivation behind it? And I thought the only motivation behind it is if you eliminate collective bargaining, you eliminate a voice, a collective voice of people. Number one, the collective voice of people to elect certain people that they will elect. So I personally have my own belief that it's really all about elections in general.
We got bartenders, baristas, musicians, business owners.
Yeah, super.
Grab that. About where you want.
There are rallies happening all around the state, too.
Thanking the 14.